live league action. In 2018, the Auckland Rugby League is putting the game in your hands. Never miss a hit from New Zealand's premier rugby league competition. To get the inside edge on where you can watch the action live and free, head up aucklandleague.co.nz. Live league action, aucklandleague.co.nz.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Troy Hardy with ARL, and we're at the home of the Glenora Bears. Big clash today against Mangere East Hawks. Alongside me is Aaron Collin, the big grizzly bear, the chairman of the club. And Aaron, first off, mate, the ground is looking absolutely fantastic. What a day for rugby league.
It's a glorious day for rugby league, mate. It feels looking good.
Yep.
Bit of a crowd getting in here, so we're in for a good day, I think.
Awesome, mate. And look, one of the big things that was, I said to you, during the course of the season was that when we came down here, we had one of the best days out for rugby league at grassroots. The jukebox is going, you got the, you got the DJ here, the cafeteria's working, mate. Is it something you do each weekend?
If the weather's all right, we get the PA system out there. We're very lucky to have DJ Ray. He looks after DJ Ray. So got to give him a plug. He looks after us with the sound equipment and all that. And yeah, it just brings a bit of atmosphere to the day, especially a day like today, and try and get everyone in behind their home team.
Absolutely, mate. I've never seen Harold Moody look this sharp. And speaking of mood, the mood of the club, mate, let's talk about that. How excited is you and your senior leadership team?
Yes, we're at a very good place, which is very pleasing. It's been a goal of ours for a while. Of course, things don't happen overnight. It's been taking a bit of development and some key personnel in the right places, but we are where we strive to be as far as the top squad, that's the Prem first and the top side going well. We've had a lot of debutants in the Fox, first year of Fox this year coming through, so Bernie's blooding the young boys well, and they're getting a bit of experience, and yeah, both we call it the top squad now, is travelling very well.
Awesome, mate, as AC/DC starts to thump out in the background. Mate, from a, not just a player's point of view, but from across the whole club, who's impressed you most this year?
Just our senior group, really.
Yeah.
They've really stood up. We have it's important that a club has values. Our values are passion, pride, respect, and we try and instill that into our players. And I've got to say, our full top squad has just really taken that role on, especially the respect part. And it's just working as a team all right through. That senior group has been outstanding this year. They've really stepped up.
Awesome, mate. Look, with all good clubs, outside of, I suppose, your leadership team, the volunteers and all the support that you get, sponsors are pretty important, mate. And I know they're dear to your heart. So let's give them some love, man. Talk to me about your sponsors.
Well, we're very fortunate to have one of your partners, SAS, on with us this year. And we think that just helps the whole rugby league thing development-wise. We're all heading in the same direction. So it's all about helping each other out. So Tim and Peter from there, they've been outstanding. Of course, we've got Grant from the Greyland Tavern. Yeah. He's always a good man, always has been. He's a great supporter just for rugby league in general. We've got Redvis from Professional
Redvis McCabe, big shout out to Red.
We managed to hook him in there.
Oh, good to see, mate. Good to see. I spent a bit of time with him, mate. He's a dangerous man.
He is. He's a good man. And he was also our auctioneer on the night.
Cool.
So,
and that's successful too, eh?
Very good. That was
good,
awesome night, mate. Something we're very proud about as a club. We raised some good money, and outstanding.
That's probably Redvis ringing you now to buy a house. So, mate, look, outside of the sponsors now, one of the other things too is that you've been a big advocate and a supporter of the live stream. Just want to touch on that because I know you got supporters not just here in New Zealand, but also in Australia and throughout the world, mate. Yeah,
me personally, I've got a lot of friends that played footy at this club back in the day, junior footy, and they all like to go on the live stream and just see how the club's going these days. So as far as that goes, it's awesome. Got some family that goes overseas. They all like to have a look and see how the boys are going, and not to mention that this Fox footy is good footy too, mate.
Yeah,
it's bloody outstanding. There's some good games, and I think once people give it a chance and hook into it, they're quite impressed and they keep coming back. So credit to you guys, and we just got to get our game out there more.
Awesome, mate. Look, now with hosting the ARL today and also, being match of the round, At the club tonight. Can anybody come down? Tell us what's happened.
Absolutely.
What
Well, it's a big night tonight because it's our last home game for the season.
Okay.
We've got both the top squad that we spoke about earlier. They're both travelling well. We're coming, Prem first, coming from behind at the moment, but we've still got the faith they can get the job done. And tonight's just a little bit about the supporters. You know, they've been here supporting our boys all year, and it'd just be great for them to come in, mix and mingle with the boys after the game, and have a beer. And you know, we're only 1 week away from the semis. And then, you know, she's all over. There's going to be a quick end to the season, so get down there tonight and let's party up and have a good time.
Awesome, mate. Well, listen, I know you're busy and I know we kidnapped you. On behalf of the Auckland Rugby League, I want to thank you for hosting us today.
My pleasure.
And for all the rugby league fans out there, you know, if you haven't got anything on this afternoon, come down and join us. It's a fabulous, fantastic day being set up down here at the Glenora Bears. And Corey Ross will be with us very shortly as we get to interview some of the coaches and get some insight to today's match.
Get down here.
Alright, for the second week in a row, we are now joined by head coach of the Mangere East Hawks, Matt Pilmer. Well, Matt, grand final-like celebrations, it's probably fair to say, last week after a dramatic victory over Mount Albert. You still riding that high?
Absolutely. It's been a long time between drinks to, for me personally as well, to beat Mount Albert. I think it's about 5 or 6 years ago that we beat them, and always been one of the top teams. So it was just pleasing for the way the boys just stuck in there and played for the full 80 minutes, which we know we can. And like I said, the week before against Point Shed, we knew that wasn't us, so it was pleasing to see.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the most pleasing thing to come out of it? You mentioned obviously the character to come back, and you did make a fairly slow start, had to come back at the end there. So was that the big thing you took out of it?
Absolutely. We knew we had to be around half time, you know, close or in front. And for us, we've done it all year, where we've played for that full 80 minutes and stayed in the grind. And when we've let games get away with at half time, we've sort of we've still fought back, and that's the main thing for us. It's a good young team that just don't give up. In previous years, we would have, you know, conceded, put our heads down, and conceded a couple more tries to lose the game by 3 or 4. But now we just have that belief. So, and it's good to build on for next year.
A number of injuries again. In fact, your team list from midweek sort of looks nothing like the team that will take the field today. So just run us through your injury situation. A number of boys out.
Yeah, unfortunately, Howard Brown's out today. He's in a wedding line,
okay.
Which we couldn't fix. But Vili Tukia, who played his 50th game and who we played for last week, unfortunately picked up an injury in that game and didn't recover enough. And of all things, Lafu Whiangaya, who in the midst of the celebrations at the end, when he went to run to the boys, twisted his ankle after the hooter. So that was unfortunate for us. But in saying that, we've also got, you know, Ed Wayne's come back for us today, and a couple of other players have also come back for us today. So it's still an exciting young team. A little bit of experience missing, but Dakota Taimane, who played so well at fullback last week, comes into the halves where he normally plays for the Warriors 20s when he plays there. So it's nothing new to him, so it'd be quite exciting to see how he plays there.
And how much confidence did you take from last week, obviously beating one of the, I guess, perceived sort of top sides in the competition?
Well, I think I said it to you last week. We set ourselves some goals. We're not going to get relegated. We're not going to make the top 4. So, you know, beating Mount Albert was one of our goals, and taking the Root Rooster off Glenora was another one. And we needed to beat Mount Albert to get that confidence to, you know, to go into today's game with that belief that we could do it. So last week's game was huge for us, and you know, the smiles and the confidence at training during the week was awesome. Let's hope we can put it onto the field today, because you know, Glenora is a different side than when we played Mount Albert last week. So.
Yeah, obviously Glenora fairly well different to every team in the Fox, really. Huge forward pack. Is this the biggest test in terms of that forward challenge that there is in Auckland right now?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the one thing I like about Glenora is they do the basics so well.
Okay.
You know, they just grind your way. They don't do anything flashy. They'll just work it up the middle, and they work the short sides very well as well. So if your short side is not up to game, they'll run through you, and they wait for you to make the mistake. And that's what they did against us in the first round. And saying that, we did compete for quite a while in that first game, and the boys came away confident. But it's just like I said, holding those medals today and trying to stop their big boys going forward is going to be the key thing for us today.
Finally, obviously, coming up against Glenora, is it just about matching the effort from last week? Will that be good enough, or do you need to go one better?
It's got to be one better.
Okay.
You know, no disrespect to Mount Albert, they had quite a few players out last week too. And if we were going to beat them, then last week was definitely the week. And Glenora, they've got a strong side. I show they've got a couple of players out as well, but the players that replaced them with are quality players. So yeah, we've got to step it up a little bit more. I wasn't totally happy. I mean, I took the win and I was happy with the win, but with how we played in patches, I wasn't happy. So if we can get that 80-minute performance out today, you just don't know what could happen.
Right, Matt, thanks for joining us. We're going to let you go now, and all the best for today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, we're now joined by a special guest today, no coach for the Glenora Bears, but prop Suave Coverley. Well, Suave, first of all, just tell the viewers why you're not taking the field today. I understand a little bit of sickness.
Yeah, haven't taken the field for about a month now, so yeah, just got the flu, real bad virus, and then it just went to a chest infection, just carried on, snowball effect, and yeah, still out. So hopefully be back ready for next week.
Now, the chance to, I guess, mathematically, there'll still be a chance that Point Chevrolet could steal the minor premiership next week, but if you win today, it's fairly well guaranteed. How much of a motivating factor is that for the boys today?
Yeah, we spoke a little bit about it on Tuesday.
Okay.
It is a big motivation factor for us, especially just to defend our home ground.
Yep.
The Rooster and obviously the Rookata is a bonus as well, but you know, we love that. I think we love that trophy, the Rooster, to go with the Fox as well. So
I spoke to you last year, and you talked about how much the route meant not only to the club but the wider West Auckland community. That's very much similar this year. There's still that desire and hunger for the route.
Yeah, well, I think just like any club, they want to defend their home ground,
Yep.
defend their fortress, and this year we only lost once, just back in round 1 against Point Chev here. So, and after that, I guess the boys just looked a bit deep inside and made sure that that wasn't going to happen again.
Now, you got the job done last week against Otahu, 36-10. How pleasing has it been to see the boys keep things rolling even without, the likes of yourself, Jordan Torde and the team? How pleasing has that been to see the younger guys sort of step up?
Well, yeah, that's the good thing about the Glenora team this year. We've got a lot of depth, a lot of young guys, but also we've got a lot of senior guys that the young guys can just feed off. And I just think the boys that just come in and just realize what they need to do, their roles, their core roles. They don't need to do anything special, but at the end of the day, they end up doing special things because they're doing the roles that they're out there to do. So.
If you look back 12 months to this day, Suave, is this a better Glenora team than this time last year?
Yes, I think. Yeah, I think with a couple of years together, the bond is a lot stronger.
Yep.
Yeah, you just look at our results this year compared to last year. Just week by week, we're going out there and making sure that we don't just win, but we defend well, and not many teams has managed to put on. I don't think any team has put on 16 points against us. I think the largest has been 14. So we pride ourselves in the defense, and defense is what win games.
Now, you come up against a Mangere East team today who had a really big win for them against Mount Albert last week. They're a young side, pretty exciting team. What are you expecting from them today?
Nothing less. I think they've got a bit of an incentive, that they can finish off their year on a high, and by taking the Rooster off us. But we're not just gonna lay down and give it to them. So you know, we're here to you know, fight, you know, tooth and nail for that rooster, and if any team wants to come and take it off us, they better prepare to, you know, basically die out there.
Now, final question, one in from Bernie Perinaro. Bernie wants to know how the, I guess, weight loss regime he's got you on is going, Suave. He just wants to know that you're on track with that, so just let Bernie know how all that's going.
Yeah. Bernie always has a scale ready for me every training, and since I've been sick, you know, it's got nothing to do with training at all. But I have been dropping the weight, so yeah, now I think Bernie's really pleased.
Oh, there you go. You can be happy, Bernie. Hey, Suave, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Enjoyed the game today, and I hope you get back on the field soon.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Now going to throw it to the field as the reserve grade game finishes up behind us before we get into the build-up for today's match. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to our coverage here from Harold Moody Reserve in West Auckland. The reserve grade game going on behind us. Understand that is down to a 2-point gap right now after Mangere East got out to a big lead early in the first half. So Glenora looking to storm back in on that one. So we will bring you the vision of the finish on that one as we see an old school push in the scrum. We may end up commentating the reserve grade game here as we see a big push from Glenora. So it is Mangere East, 2 points in control as it stands. We're building up towards the big one today, the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership clash between the top of the table Glenora Bears and the resurgent Mangere East Hawks, who have really gone through this second round with some velocity, picked up some really good results along the way, none more so than a last-minute victory over the Mount Albert Lions last week. Before that, though, we are going to take a look around the grounds, some of the action going on today. A big match out at Colin Lowry Park, out Pukekohe way. Franklin Storm take on the Otara Scorpions. Franklin have had a rough run over the last month. Haven't been able to pick up a victory in that time. Had a real close victory, a 2-point loss, I should say, to the Aussie Eagles last week. Speaking of the Aussie Eagles, they take on the Ponsonby Ponies. That is a 2-3 match. Now, the winner of that one will win home field advantage next week for the semi-final. They're going to play each other anyway, Owsley and Ponsonby, but it's a big match in terms of securing that home field advantage. Te Atatū take on bottom of the table Papatoetoe. Mangere, they're up against the Newland Stags. Well, the Pukeronga Jaguars are up against the Northern Brothers. That game is huge. The winner of that one will go through to the top tier. They will finish likely in 8th position, while the loser will be out. Waitemata have a bye, which is a guaranteed 2 points. So Waitemata, barring a draw between Pukeronga and Northern Brothers, are through to the next round. Let's take a look at some of the results from last week in the Crown Lift Trucks Sharman Cup. This was the second to last round. We're in the final round this week. Bay Roskill 20-10 victors over their nearest rivals, the Ponsonby Ponies. Te Atatū Roosters 28-22. That's an upset victory over the Mangere Marlins. Waitemata did it easy against Papatoetoe, 60 points to 10. Otara got up big time, 50-18 over New Lynn. And the Aussie Eagles squeezed past the Franklin Storm, 22-0. Pukeronga having the bye. Let's bring up the second division ladder now, the Sharman Cup ladder, and have a look at how things stand. And at the top, they wrapped up the Fallon Shield last week, the minor premiership, the Bay Roskill Vikings. And then this next group here, Wattle Battle, that is going to be today. Ponsonby up against the Ellerslie Eagles for second place and home field advantage come the semi-finals. A little further back, Manurewa and Franklin battling it out as we see a try scored in the background there behind the ladder, and that might well hand Glenora the victory in this one. So a big come from behind effort from Glenora if they are to go on with the result. And then the back end of the top 8 here, the Otara Scorpions, Pukeronga Jaguars and Northern Brothers, they play each other today for a spot in the top 8. Waitemata, barring a draw in the Pukeronga Northern game, they will go through to the finals. Te Atatū Roosters, Newland Stags, and rounding out the back end of the ladder, the Manukau Magpies. Papatoetoe Panthers still at the bottom without a victory so far. Now going to welcome into the commentary box Troy Hardy. Well, Troy, the music's blaring down here. The reserves are on their way to a big come-from-behind victory. It's a very exciting day for footy.
Mate, it's an awesome day for footy. Just if, the viewers have a look on the screen. If you're down here today, bring your sunblock. It's all on. The DJ is on. The music's blaring, and we're up for some great football.
Now, a little look at what's going on today in the Fox, remembering this is the second to last round of the Fox as well. Papakura travel away to Otahuhu. That is getting near sort of must-win territory for them. If Marist were to pick up a victory today and Papakura were to drop that one, they're even on points with a pretty narrow differential there, Troy. I tell you what, the battle at the bottom of the ladder is just as good as the one at the top.
Absolutely, and we're still not out of the woods on that one. There's another round to go, and like you said, there's a big battle on at the bottom part of the ladder. That kick's good too, by the way, Corey. You can tell by the crowd, the music's back on again, buddy.
And a little dance as well from our kicker there. Now, the Northcote Tigers, big game for them as well. Win today or pick up a draw, and they're into the finals. It's been a long time since Northcote have been in the playoffs for the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership. But what a job Jeff Morden has done there. They're more than deserving of a playoff spot this year, aren't they?
Absolutely. People talk about the dark horse. People talk about the team on resurgence or coming back. I mean, they've been coming way back from last year, and they're in form. They've got some real good strike weapons, and the mood in that camp, by our last live stream, I mean, they were all really well pumped up. So looking forward to seeing them go through to the top 4 playoffs and seeing how they stack up against the big guns.
Yep, so they take on Richmond today, and just as I said earlier, a win or a draw gets them through, guarantees them playoff footy. Looks pretty unlikely now that Northcote would miss out with that back end of the top 4. A little bit of a gap there now. Glenora, they take on Mangere East. This is the last Root Rooster challenge for the year. Win this one, and Glenora can lock up the Root Rooster. And also potentially on the line, well, mathematically, it's still a chance. Glenora will be minor premiers if they win this one. There's a massive points for and against between them and Point Chevalier. Marist take on Howick. Well, we talk about the battle at the bottom. The Marist Saints, they have been so close on a number of times this year, but they've managed to pick up a victory which has given them a sniff, and now they are right in the hunt for survival. Understand there's a couple of big ins for the Marist Saints today as well, so we'll watch that one with interest. They take on the Howick Hornets, and then Point Chevalier up against Mount Albert. Well, probably the greatest rivalry of the last sort of 10 years in the Fox, isn't it? I know that Mount Albert are a little way down at this year, but that'll be a really good match. Yeah,
and Mount Albert have been doing it tough, as you know, the last few rounds, and you can hear the crowds going off in the background at the home of the Bears. And so they'll be up to prove a point. They went down against Mangere East last week, so they'll be hurting from that. And, they'll be, maybe it's a small goal, to take a scalp, and hopefully it'll be, a Pirate's eye patch that they'll put in the trophy shield.
Yeah, and I reckon outside of actually winning the Fox, beating Point Chevalier is probably right up there on the list for Mount Albert fans. I think that's It's probably one of those games. It's a derby game, and we know how important they are. Now, a little look at the results from last week. The team we're going to be streaming today: Glenora convincing 36-10 victors over the Otahu Leopards. Point Chevalier got up, and they actually did this late. It was pretty close throughout, but Point Chevalier 22-6 over the Marist Saints, who are such a gritty team this year. Howard Hornets, huge victory for them, which jumps them back into the top 4 and puts them really within probably one result away from securing the top 4. They were 20-18 victors over Northcote. Richmond, big win for them. This jumps them clear of relegation, 32-22 over the Papakura Sea Eagles. It was a massive result for Steve Buckingham's side. And in our live stream game last week, we could not have picked a better game. 30 points to 27, Mangere East. They do it late, and I tell you what, the celebrations were massive when they tried.
Oh man, it was a fantastic game. You know, Mount Albert got out early, and then towards the back end of the first half, you know, Mangere East came back, as we know, and then they started really strong in the second half. Then Mount Albert started getting the wood on them, and then they went ahead, and it came back. It was a draw, it was all, and then hello, out comes the drop kick. And I thought, well, yeah, that might get them home, but no, it didn't. With 2 minutes to go, Mangere East decided to hang another try on it, and that basically, you know, pipped them. So big raps for the Mangere East team. That was, I think, from the build-up that you had with the head coach, that was one of the goals that they wanted to nail, and I think he was pretty proud of that one.
Absolutely. Now let's take a look at the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership ladder as we head into the second to last round. And at the top, only one loss to their names, the Glenora Bears. Point Chevalier, well, it gets somewhat overshadowed probably given how good Glenora have been this year, but Point Chevalier have only dropped 2 games all year. They're going really well as well. They're second on the ladder. The Northcote Tigers a little way back. A result today, a draw or a win will guarantee them of playing playoff football this year. The Howard Hornets have jumped clear of that 3-way logjam for the final playoff position, that 4th position. Mount Albert Lions, 1 win back right now, but they have a torrid finish to the year. They have to play both Point Chevalier and Glenora to finish the year, the 2 top sides. The Otahu Leopards, while they are in must-win territory, the top 4 now looks unlikely for them, but a campaign that John Ackland and co can be really proud of for the Leopards. Mangere East Hawks, they climbed to within 2 points with that upset victory last week. And then at the bottom, the Richmond Bulldogs, by beating Papakura last week, they jump 4 points clear of the Marist Saints. There's only 4 points up for grabs over the final 2 rounds, although remember, Richmond do have the inferior points differential of that group battling for survival. Papakura Sea Eagles, they sit on 4 points, 2 clear of Marist at the bottom. But as we mentioned earlier, there are battles all over this table right now, and the one at the bottom is the one that's got a lot of people's attention. Some proud clubs there at the bottom there, Troy. You look at the Marist Saints, the amount of NRL talent that club has brought through over the years. They won't want to be playing second division next year. And then, well, the names like Richmond Bulldogs and Papakura Sea Eagles. Papakura won the Fox 2 years ago, so that says it all.
And look, and you know, their forward pack, we sort of touched on that. They've got some really strong boys that play in that forward pack. You know, the Hunt lads have had a strong season this year. Just, you know, unfathomable. But saying that, it is what it is, and we've got 1 round to go, so it's exciting right across the board.
Now we're going to bring up the team lists and run you through how the sides will take the field today. And we'll start with the Glenora Bears, who are sponsored by Redvitz Real Estate in association with SAS Sport and the Greyland Tavern as well on board for them. Let's take a look at Coach Bernie Perinara's side, and there are a few changes to that which is appearing on your screen now. At the back, the reigning Auckland Fullback of the Year, Palima Siaki on the wings, James Taumata and Simon Luofalialo. The centres are Chaz Brown and Elijah Sufia. And the halves, it's an experienced halves pairing. Aaron Booth, late in the number 6 jersey for Wairangi. He joins the captain, Phil Kingy. Up front in the engine room, Jose Taukatalia joins Graham Suapo. The hooker is Zach Tippins. In the back row, Daniel Riulu Buchanan, Hami Luaki. Locking the scrum is Paya Manukia. And on the bench, Jeremiah Portu, Tolson Caird, John Nicodemus, and Chase Bernard. And for the Burger King, Mangere East Hawks, coached by Matt Pilmer. A number of changes here, really. The team list resembles nothing to the one which came in midweek. A number of injuries popping up for them, and even a wedding, which is keeping Howard Brown out of the side. So at the back, Edward Kossi. The wingers are Molly Silafai and Lelinga. And the centres, Salilisi and Finau. The halves, Taimani and Limoni. Up front, in the front row, Jacob Tamoa and Steve Tongiu. The hooker is Natane V. In the back row, Nicholas Halalilo. Salmani, locking the scrum as Junior R4, and on the bench, Connor Brown, Tiriati, Viliami Mamalo, and Deidre Fungal-Pole. So that is how the Burger King Mangere East Hawks will take the field today. A number of familiar names on there from last week. Obviously, Troy, none more so than Natane V, who was our SAS man of the match. He was brilliant last week in the Northern Park, wasn't he?
Absolutely. And look, I just had a bit of a giggle at the background. The ground announcement, they've just been naming the team as they've come out, and he was reeling off the Mangere East Hawks, and he nailed Connor Brown. And here comes the Root Rooster, mate. It's on the screen now, and how proud's that young fella? And Phil Kingy, isn't he? He had a sensational season, really came into his own last year, and I'm a big fan of him, mate. He's, I expect him to do some pretty good things today, and, you know, he's a guiding force as they move towards the finals. Yep,
a brilliant calming influence in those halves. He's a really classy guy, and shout out to the Glenora Club as well. That's a really nice gesture, a nice way to bring the Roop on, and one thing you immediately pick up at this club, they really value the Root Rooster. It means a lot to them, so they'll be well fired up today. And as you can see there, the young fella getting an experience he won't forget for a while. Carrying on one of the oldest trophies in Auckland sport, and what a brilliant trophy it is. Goes on the line at the home game of the holder. Glenora, they surrendered it back in round 1 against Point Chevalier, and then promptly won it back in round 10. They've defended it every time since then, and one more before they can lock it away, as they did last year. Our middle referee today is Hayden Price. He's assisted on the sides by Maxine Godney, who had the middle for the reserve grade game, did a really good job of that reserve grade game earlier, and Corey Gill, who was really a mainstay of our live stream games. He's been the touchy for most of our games this year. He's also the secretary of the Auckland Rugby League Referees Association. So they make their way to the sideline now as the two teams go through their final preparations, and it looks like it is going to be Glenora to kick things off. Big crowd gathering down here at Harold Moody, and why wouldn't you? Lovely day for it. The music's pumping, the canteen's going. We're just about ready for round 17 of the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership.
And just before they kick off, Corey, I want to say on behalf of myself, I've enjoyed the season with you, mate, and I hope that we go around again next year, because you're about the only humour I have every Saturday as we get together.
Yep, not a bad way to spend a Saturday at all, and certainly enjoyed bringing you the coverage this year, and we will be bringing you extensive coverage throughout the finals. We've got a couple of big weeks lined up, don't we, Troy?
We do over 110 hours in 9 days, so we've got the awards dinner coming up, we've got College Rugby League Grand Finals coming up, College Rugby League breakfast, Grand Finals, and lots of live streaming. So to get a hold of all the action, don't miss any big hits, ladies and gentlemen, aucklandleague.co.nz.
So referee Price assuming position now. A couple of big names to watch out for in this Glenora side. Palima Siaki, real live wire at the back, but also on the edge, Daniel Rielu Buchanan, arguably the best back rower in the Fox right now. Here we go, round 17, Root Rooster on the line. And that is a messy old start off the legs, and Glenora are going to win that back. Well, that's a horror start for the Mangere East Hawks. And straight away, Hami Luaki will pick that one up and say thank you very much. And they'll get straight into their work now. This is Bernard. Bumps it forward.
Roll away, markers square. Lock in, go 2.
Tippins to Manukia. Manukia plays short at the line to Suapo, who gets rid of 1. Goes to within 2 meters out from the line. Glenora looking for that perfect start today. Tippins, dummies. Cameraman loses it. Eventually finds it. And Manukia will centralise right in front of the SAS uprights. Tippins spreads it wide to Kingy, who goes to Luaki, and Luaki dummies and then shakes off a couple. Still manages to get the offload away. Brown is on the end of it. Chaz Brown with the flick out the back. Mangere scrambling early. Lua Falialo dancing his way through. He'll go very close. Tackled 2 meters out from the line. Manukia calling the shots to the left. That's where they're going to go. Bernard swings it 1 more to Kingy, who then goes to his halves partner in Booth. But Booth is tackled well in a 3-man tackle. So Mangere East, after that terrible start, where they failed to recover the kickoff, good resolve on their line there, and they get through that one unscathed. one thing that has been a common theme for them this year, Troy, slow starts for Mangere East, and again it was the case last week. Probably lucky not to be further behind. They really struggled to maintain possession, as we see an early injury here. And it looks like a lower leg injury, so trouble early on here for Mangere East.
Well, what's that? Whilst he's being attended by the trainer, Corey, looks like with the fabulous music that's pumping out down here today, mate, you're going to get a pop quiz. Name that singer.
Yeah, well, you got me on this one straight away.
George Benson.
No
George Benson.
Maybe the wrong era for me.
All right, so for everyone who's watching, we're back to the live action. Here we go.
Something for you to look forward to in between the action on the field here today. V jumps into dummy half. Big contact. Hit down to the ground there, and it was Zach Tippins who did the damage on that one, I think. Jacob Tamua.
Don't play it on him.
V shifts it out the back, and they get to their kick via Inga Limoni, and it's not a great one. It goes to Siaki on the full. A lot of pressure on Inga Limoni today. No Howard Brown in the halves. Got Dakota Taimani, who does play in the halves at Warriors level, but was used at fullback last week. So you would think Inga's going to have to do a fair bit of the directing of traffic today. There's Bernard dummies and then goes to the line. Junior Afoa involved in the tackle. Booth turns back inside to Suapol.
Square markers now.
Kingy, he goes high, and a tester early on here for Kossi at the back, and he puts it down, and Glenora should open the scoring here. Manukia goes in. Paya, Manukia, just like that, straight off the Edward Kossi era, scoops it up, and the Glenora Bears are in. It's a booming kick off the boot of Phil Kingy, and Kossi, he'd set quite nicely under it. Wasn't a huge amount of pressure. Had Siaki coming through, straight through the bread basket, and Manukia, he won't score an easier try. Picks it up and over he goes.
Yeah.
So an early advantage for the champions here.
It's good to see that young kid Booth having a go at rugby league, isn't it?
That's right. You have a rather familiar name for viewers of the Fox, Aaron Booth. We haven't seen a lot of him this year, have we? But
no, but Phil Kingy said, you know, he's coming along nicely and he should shape up to be, you know, quite a talented little player. Okay, Corey, pop quiz 2. Name that singer.
Yeah, well, that'll be 0 from 2 for me.
Jimmy Barnes. Am I the oldest one here? If you're watching us on the live stream, you know, give us a like, give us a share, give me a hand.
And if you're the DJ, play something post 1994 is probably sort of my range.
Oh dear. Well, we're at the home of the Bears, mate. She'll be all 80s down here. We heard Tina Turner this morning belting out Simply the Best. Can't get a better rugby league song than that. And as we go to strike the ball, flags are up.
So the Glenora Bears 6-0 lead. Phil Kingy guides that one over.
Seriously, mate, this is a flippin' awesome day down here for rugby league. The sun is out, the music's good. You know, if you're in town, you got to get here, folks. This is just a champion day.
So Mangere East, a couple of early errors, eventually leads to points. Straight from the kickoff, they made a mistake, and then
yeah, both kickoffs. Eh?
That time, Kossi just unable to bring the kick in. Now as Limoni gets us back underway with a fairly
Great
deep
catch.
kick, which is fielded by Siaki and then turned back to the inside to Bernard.
Up now.
Glenora, they won their first Fox title since 1999 last year as they get the penalty there as well. Looking to go back-to-back, which hasn't really been uncommon. We saw Point Chevalier do it a couple of times.
Come on, guys. Movement, please. On the line. Bye. Line guys, foot on it, foot on it.
So the Bears march down halfway. Quick tap, here they come.
Chase Bernard heavily involved early on.
Held. Move. All the way. Go one.
Plenty of touches for the 17. A late inclusion of the starting squad as Suapol just juggles the footy pre-contact there and did well to hold on to it. Kingy now works it down the right edge and Siaki chimes in. The Auckland representative fullback, as I mentioned earlier, the reigning Auckland fullback of the year as well. Be a front runner for that award again this year. He's had a really good season. His Siaki.
Great offload. Split them.
Into a little bit of space here now, holding on for dear life down low. Might not matter, Zach Tippins is in. And Glenora should double their lead here. Zach Tippins goes over for a second.
Great support play on that one. Just keeping the ball alive. Got his hands free. Had, 2-3 defenders on him.
Really nice work from Sophia here. And you can see just holding on around the jersey. But as you mentioned, Troy, Zach Tippins, what a class act he is. Success seems to follow that guy. He was there when Mount Albert went through that really good period where they just made grand final after grand final. Such a tenacious competitor, but really smart around the ruck as well. He's got that ability to control tempo, and off a forward pack like Glenora's, he's deadly.
So as we wait for the kick to come, looks like we've got a challenging PA box down the back there. Somebody's just backed up their Toyota Corolla with a 65-inch subwoofer. And that was Bob Marley fading out in the background of Buffalo Soldier.
Kick is good. I wish you'd quizzed me on that one, Troy. I would have had that one nailed.
Yeah, I wasn't going to give you Bob, mate. Everyone knows Bob. He's back.
Well, very calming music, but I'll tell you one man that won't be too calm is Matt Pilmer, whose side are 12-0 down after 8 minutes. Although they do have a number of guys out, I think there's fairly realistic expectations today from Coach Matt Pilmer as that kick goes down to the edge of Epilahami Luaki, who says, don't worry about the pass, I'll take it forward.
Yeah, don't know about the strategy of kicking off straight to him.
Bernard with another carry.
Two and up. Out the back. We're going the other way.
So it's been Bears with the ball all day so far.
Manukia bumping his way forward. He's been Glenora's best early. Scored the first try, set up the second with that late offload.
Get up. Clear that ruck.
Another of the New Zealand Warriors in the squad. Plays a fair bit of Intra Super Premiership footy for the Warriors. Does Manukia. Had a great year last year. Now as Lua Falialo dances his way out of a couple. The former Maris Saint. He's another who's enjoyed a good year.
Yeah,
Won
absolutely.
Auckland honours
Yep.
earlier now as Kingy kicks across the body. A little banana kick and ball is loose. That'll be picked up by Natane V. So Mangere East now with a chance to work it out. This Glenora team, well, they have been simply brilliant in defence. And in attack, they haven't been too bad either. They've scored less than 24 points just twice this year. In terms of defence, well, it's not uncommon for this team to hold sides to 1-2 tries. They've had a number of clean sheets as the ball comes loose, and that'll be ruled a knock on Ryulu Buchanan there with the damaging contact in the end.
No. He's lost the ball, guys. Thank you. All right, guys.
It's the scrum to pack down 40 metres out from the line.
All right,
College Rugby League action. You see as College Rugby League into the playoffs, and we are live again this week. Kelston taking on Wesley. That'll be a nice little match there. Kelston, one of the pace setters through the early parts of the season, and as Chaz Brown puts on a little bit of footwork now and looks to get the offload away. And Wesley College, well, we know the talent they got out there, Troy. I know you've watched a bit of their footy this year. Tell you what, Lua Falialo may stick to his wing next time. Big contact there in the middle of the park. Now Manukia comes down
Nice
the right
tackle
edge
down
again.
low.
Wait.
Tippins is the dummy half. He will Shuffle to the right. Luaki, the dummy. Looks to go through. Good last-ditch effort from Mangere East to keep him away from the line. Ball spills loose now and picked up by Mangere East. And I think this will be a Glenora feed.
Yeah, back to the Wesley question, Corey. Yep, there's some big boys there. Managed to see them up against Mount Albert on Wednesday night, and that was a fabulous game. Weren't big enough on the night though, and Mount Albert sort of did enough to get the job done there. And that was at Mount Albert Grammar. And actually, it was interesting to see them playing on BG Williams Field, number 1 there. So,
number 12.
And I think with that victory, Mount Albert as well secured themselves the top 4 spot in the top tier. Siaki now dances through a couple and taking the ground eventually under the weight of Salmani, and now Suapol now throwing the big bodies at them, and it is relentless from the Glenora Bears. Tippins looking left and right. It's the latter where he goes, and now Manukia looking for his second try. Paia Manukia. Too easy. Paia Manukia has his second, and how's that for the first 12.5 minutes of the game? 2 tries and an assist for the big fella. We now look on the SAS replay. It's just too easy in the end. Tippins, 1 out, goes to Manukia. And he just keeps those legs driving. Over he goes. The Glenora Bears, well, it's a stroll for them so far.
well, they're strolling back, listening to the music. Oh, there another DJ's on. And there's a few here turning up in the car park today, Corey. Excuse me.
Kingy puts that one over. And the Bears lead 18 points to 0. Shout out to the Glenora sponsors, Redvis Real Estate, SAS Sport,
Redvis McCabe. Text me, Red. Tell me what deal you got on. Oh, and Shane Price, the Deputy Chairman of the ARL, just texted in, Corey, and said it's Bob Marley.
Appreciate the help, Shane.
And big shout out to Shane. He's in Brisbane watching this live with his grandson. So hope you're enjoying it, young fella.
Bernard straight back into R4 and Natane V.
Roll away, 9. Wait. Go.
Manu Keo, another beautiful offload to Suapol, and unfortunately it's put down in the end by Sofia. But Paia Manukia absolutely on fire to start this one. Some brilliant touches already.
All right, guys. I need you guys to bind in the second row.
Bit of a discussion going on here at the setting of the scrum.
Let's go, F.
Couple of handling errors to both sides.
Heads down together. Ball.
Scrum packs down, and I tell you what, that was
Close.
Straight out. Back down
sort
now.
of ricocheted off the shin, didn't it, and went back towards Glenora, but pack down and go again. Taimani is the man feeding the scrum, and R4 delivers a very suspect pass out of the bottom of the ruck, and Tamoa does well to pick it up and go again. Spent some time over at the Sydney Roosters in the SG Ball system to Jacob Tamoa, back to his junior club.
Move together now. Wait.
One of the more damaging forwards in the Fox, that's for sure. I mentioned last week, I don't think he got tackled first time at all last week. It was a broken tackle, the first contact, and he's continuing that trend here again today as Taimani now brings his back rower, Salmani, into the line.
Really the first time the Hawks have gone this deep into their Bears territory. Let's see if they can mount some pressure.
Limoni turns Halalilo back in, and Halalilo
Not a bad carry.
takes 4 with him, so this is looking good here from the Hawks. Limoni kicks out of the bottom of the ruck, and guess who? Paimanu Kia, he's doing it all. Fields that kick and takes the ball about 8 metres out from his line. Number of sort of representative players in the squad, led by Hami Luaki, who of course had a decorated career with the New Zealand Warriors in the NRL before heading over to the Bradford Bulls, where he played there for the famous English club, came back, spent some time with Manly. In between all that, represented both the New Zealand Kiwis and Mate Maatonga. So cool to have a player of his calibre back in this competition now. As Suapo pops the offload out the back, and Riulu Buchanan then does the same, and it's messy, and it will be a knock-on. So the play breaks down that time, but I tell you what, they look dangerous when they get the offload going.
Absolutely.
Just back to some of the guys that have played at high levels in this Glenora squad. Zach Tippins as well, spent some time with the New Zealand Warriors in the cup system. Phil Kingy played for the New Zealand Residents last year, captain Akarana.
You talk to him. Thank you. I know. All good.
So Taimani to feed the scrum.
Yeah. Bull. Wait. Out.
And it goes. It's a bit cleaner this time, and now R4 moves it, and they'll work the short side, and Kossi shakes out a 1. He's taken down 20 out from the line, and they centralise now via Junior R4. Probably been their most consistent forward this year, Junior R4. He doesn't have the impact of some of the bigger bodies in this squad, but just keeps turning up, gets through a whole lot of work on both sides of the footy. Really important part of this Mangere East team. Natane V is the dummy half. He comes back to the middle to Taimani, to Limoni, and then chiming in is Kossi, who throws a big looping ball, but they sort of ran out of space there, Mangere Eastern. Well, wise to come back in field via Lilinga. Kossi now brings Halalilo in. 10 out from the line, Mangere East. V to Limoni, half to half, and now Taimani gets to his kick, and it's a pretty good one in behind, but it's going to have too much on it. And will roll safely dead into the crowd here at Harold Moody Reserve. Big shout out to the club as well, who recently held the Luke Tippany Memorial Evening, raised a whole lot of money for the Luke Tippany Trust, which supports aspiring young athletes in the West Auckland area, whether it be buying them gear or helping them get to tournaments. So a wonderful charity to carry on Luke Tippany's legacy. And of course, he was a big part of the Auckland Rugby League. Luke Tippany used to attend our Jets camps as a mentor there. A fine young leader in our game. As Tippins now receives the ball in the back of it, and they're offload
keeping the
happy
ball
here.
alive, aren't
Siaki
they?
takes them up over halfway. Tippins jumps out, ankle tapped, and then it's to Siaki, and Palima Siaki, he's looking fairly frustrated. That's a couple of offloads he's put down now. Probably not really through too much fault of his own. Sigh of relief for Mangere East now as Natane V jumps off the bottom of a quick play of the ball, and he is ragdolled to ground by Suapol. Tamua straightens, bumps off Booth.
Shows a lot of strength, doesn't he?
Yep, he has a rather intimidating build, Jacob Tamua, and we've seen him used mostly on the edge this year, but he comes into the middle of the park today with some of the injuries this Mangere East side have got. And this is Tiriaiti fighting his way, and it's a penalty, and maybe the first penalty of the match.
One each. One to the Bears, one to the Hawks.
Natane V now gets it going, the ball pops loose and picked up. There's another one. So just like that, after their first penalty, they get their second as well. So golden chance here for Mangere East to hit back, and you get the feeling they really do need to just settle things down now. Tiriaiti will carry them to within a couple of meters, right up against their line now, the Glenora Bears. Work it back through the middle. Limoni, early kick, across field, it's beautiful!
Great try.
Wonderful try to the Mangere East Hawks. Inga Limoni, he kicks on play 2, and it is pinpoint. Let's take a look on the SAS replay. They just weren't ready for it, Glenora. So early in the tackle count. That is a brave play.
As you said too, pinpoint perfect.
And even the Glenora announcer down here has to pay tribute to that one. And a really good effort from Lelenga to get on the end of it and ground it. So a nice hit back from the Hawks.
Yeah, and I believe that will be, that's Aaron on the ground announcement over there. Chairman of the club, just helping out around the field, around the grounds, and he was here first thing this morning and led us in, Corey, as we set up. Here we go, pop quiz number 4. Come on, Corey, talk to me.
I'm waiting for Shane Price to text him and give me a hint.
Okay, here's the hint. He wears one glove and moonwalks.
Oh, Michael Jackson, there we go.
Michael Jackson.
There's a little bit of life in me yet. There's Limoni. Lines up from the sideline. Nice plug for Fresh Choice Glen Eden in the background there. So Limoni, a difficult one to start the day for the kicking. 22 minutes gone and sideline conversion here. Strikes it and it's going to be well short. So score remain Breakfast Real Estate, Glenora Bears 18, Burger King, Mangere East Hawks 4. Here at round 17 of the SAS.
How's the vibe down here, man? It's just going off. Shane's just Snapchat me. He's videoed himself doing the moonwalk.
So Glenora taking their time to get back to halfway now.
What a great day for rugby league here in Auckland. Hats off to Glenora Bears. They certainly, you know, having the DJ on the sideline certainly brings the atmosphere to the game, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Nice vibe down here. And Kingy gets us back underway, and it's a deep one. Fielded. Now bringing it back is Tamoa by the look of it, and it's taken well by Bernard and Tippins. You mentioned the volunteers that were down here when we arrived today, Troy, and you do get a real feel for the commitment of some of these people. They literally spend their whole Saturday here. For some of them, it's much longer than a work day during the week, so you work all week and then come Saturday.
Mate, to be fair, it's why they work, just to come here.
That's right. They're up out of bed at 6 in the morning to come down and set the fields up. Had plenty of mini-mod action on behind us here at the field at Duck Park today as well.
It's gone back. Referee says play on.
So the Hawks now looking to spread the ball, and up out of the line is Sufia, and he does really well to get to the ground there and remain in the field of play. It's nice work from Morgan Salilisi. Whangupole onto the field as well. Fresh legs for them. Siaki reads that one beautifully, and he looks up and sees plenty of green in front of him, but skips through the would-be tackle and sort of ends up facing his own try line, and earns a penalty there. Worked hard on the ground there. Natane V gives up the penalty. Says to referee Price, really?
2 each on the penalty count, mate. I was about to say earlier, Bernard Perenara and the rest of the coaching team wouldn't have been too happy about the 2 penalties back-to-back, because that got the Hawks down there and across the line as the Bears carry over the halfway.
And it's easy to see how Glenora have achieved some of the things they have this year. The look on some of the faces when they conceded that last try, there's a real hate for leaking points in this team, and it is the reason they have easily the best defence in the competition. And if it is true that defence wins titles, then Glenora are deserving favourites. Brilliant effort from them this year. Bernie Perenara doing some wonderful things with the West Aucklanders now as Hami Luaki goes to ground and the ball spills loose.
What's he wrong?
Out by Mangere. He's one-on-one strip. One-on-one strip gone out. Glenora, loose head and feet. Right, cool. No, he got this ball at the strip in first, the other guy come in, but then he kicked it out. Hold the line, fellas. 1 foot. All right, guys. Okay, get up.
So Glenora feed
Okay, ball. Oh.
Tippins sees at the back and then brings Sophia in. He's had some nice touches early on. Has Elijah.
Okay, Hal.
Sophia.
Release. We're one.
Tolson Caird, his third game of the year. Set out the first round. Back to boost the Glenora forward pack as if they needed it in time for the finals. Now as Siaki chimes in and play breaks down a little bit, but Lil Falialo picks up and scoots in. They're now 10 metres out from the line, Glenora. Brown to Hami Loaki. Loaki goes to the line and then plays in Bernard. And Chase Bernard changes direction. He will go very close, Chase Bernard. Fourth tackle, play the ball is the call from referee Price. Tippins.
Oh, no, not you. You're not the ring.
Spins wide and then Aaron Booth dances his way back in field, right in front of the SAS uprights.
Go last.
Last tackle coming up. And they play him in and too easy. Elijah Sophia goes over in the left-hand corner. And he strolled through in the end. Let's take a look now on the SAS Sport replay.
He's going 22-4.
Pass from Aaron Booth was nice to see there. Just puts the centre into a gap and Glenora Bears are in for their fourth try. Good to see referee Hayden Price's daughter running the water for him today as well.
We're nearly there. What, 8? Just run faster.
Yep, Paul.
Yep. There. Coming in. And we're
Kingy away to the left, so score remain. Rivers Real Estate, Glenora Bears 22, Burger King, Mangere East Hawks 4.
Just as Phil King's running back to get ready for the kickoff. Big shout out to all the old boys over there on the hill. All the Glenora legends, and there's a few over there. Looks like they're keeping themselves warm over there with a bit of green tea. Just as Elton John waltzes in on the old sound system, Corey. Corey looked at me and went, Elton who? Right.
Kingy fields it and comes back in Chase Bernard.
On the ball, on the ball. Yep.
So hard to argue with this start from the Glenora Bears. Completely dominant so far. Conceded the one try. Manukia charges forward. Tippins. Tolson Caird, who gets bumped back initially. Taking the ground under the weight of Salelisi, and a mistake from Caird by the look of it. So an error here, which gives Mangere East another chance. 2 minutes to go in the half. Tolson Caird, part of this connection that came back from the Mount Albert Lions a couple of seasons ago, along with Jordan Tuare, Suave Coverley, Zach Tippins as well.
It was a bit of an exodus that year.
Paimani scoots around to collect and then brings Woodcossie in. Defence has been their undoing for much of this year, Mangere East. Even when they've won, they've conceded a lot of points. It was the case last week as well.
So he bobbled that.
Hand in
No, they're
there.
going to say penalty.
That'll be a penalty. Now Natane V says, get out of the way, I'm tapping, I'm going. And Natane V slices through. He goes 20 metres untouched and gets an offload as well. That's great play from V. Now Halalilo dances through one. Right up against the line here. Real test for the Glenora defence now. Another penalty.
Number 3.
Chaz Brown it is, who has infringed that time.
Lay on.
Halalilo taps and goes. Now they bring Tiriati in. Tiriati is met
You can't do that.
stopped in his tracks and gets a telling off from referee Price as well for a little fake tap and go there. Are 4 to Taimani. Taimani's got Kossi at the back. Taimani, he won't need him. Dakota Taimani steps and dances his way through, and Mangere East have their second try.
SAS Fox Memorial replay. Building a bit of pressure off the back of a couple of penalties there. And had it all to do, basically just he sold that dummy like there was no tomorrow and split the runner coming in on the rushing inside and scores a try with half a dozen bears on top of him.
Yeah, you're right. Impressive dummy from Taimani, and then the spatial awareness, I guess, at the end there to be able to find his way through. So, despite never really feeling that much in the game in this half, Mangere East sort of going to get into half-time well and truly in the battle, which is what they did last week as well.
And I think too, as we mentioned a bit earlier, you know, coming off the back of a couple of penalties, the same as that try there. So I dare say Bernard will be having a chat to the boys. He won't be too happy about that.
So Netane V to attempt the conversion from next to the SAS upright. He was our player of the match last week. He was just brilliant. And chips this one over.
Oh, listening to the music down here at Harold Moody. And that'd be pop quiz number 5 for Corey. Doobie Brothers.
You know it's getting bad when the pop quiz is just you giving me the
pretty much. No more pop quiz. Join in, folks. If you're going to share, like us on the old Facebook, give us a tweet. Corey will tell you what the tweet handle is. It's,
yeah, at Auckland League on Twitter.
There you go. Corey's impressed. I know what a tweet is.
It's fielded now, and Mangere East, all of a sudden it's back to a 2-score game.
Movement together!
And they are very impressive at just being able to stay in the battle, this team. Even when they do sometimes shoot themselves in the foot. They've got real character, and that was best displayed last week in that comeback against Mount Albert. They really had no right to win that game, but just refused to go away.
Good hands.
Good advantage of opportunities late. And young Aaron Booth tackles down low along with Ruili Buchanan. And Tolson Kidd dishes out a bit of punishment there up top. Quick play the ball though. Netane V gets on the back of it, fends away from Ruili Buchanan, and Mangere East playing some up-tempo footy all of a sudden. V gets the penalty as well. And the tap and the go. Play on is the call. Netane V now slicing through, fends off Kidd. Siaki wraps him up low, and
he offloaded. He did too, and he's done it again.
Ball comes loose, so we temporarily lost the student there as Salilisi now fends his way back inside.
Go one.
Hawks looking to swoop on one here.
Knocked on, and that's a real shame there for Mangere East, just as it was starting to build, and Limoni makes the field goal there at the end of it after the knock-on. They were just starting to build quite nicely there, weren't they? Netane V at the centre of it.
Yeah, he's had a good game so far.
Quick play the balls.
Sort it out, boys. No time.
So about 5 minutes to go.
Go, guys. Yep. Let's go, boys. Come on. Yes. Oh. Good. Come in. Movement. Go one.
Tolson Kidd has hit
good
solid tackle from the side. It was Jacob Tamua, and Tolson has a bit of a laugh about it. Not sure if that was a completely genuine laugh or not. Manokia gets to the play of the ball, and now Big Jose off the bench. 40 metres off their own line now. Glenora go to Phil Kingy. He gets to his kick, and it's a good kick. Up over the top of Kossi. It's going to have too much on it, but not a bad option after a period of Mangere East dominance, really. Spent a fair bit of time down there in the last few minutes.
Wait for contact in the middle. Okay, markers up now. Wait. Go one.
Mangere East, they come into the last couple of weeks really in the funny situation where they can't be relegated, they also can't make the top 4.
Right. So that'll be one.
Coach Matt Pilmer saying it's very much about setting some little mini goals. One of them is wrestling control of the Root Rooster. See another penalty here now, and a happy couple of minutes for Tolson Caird.
Got to release, guys.
Moni hits that one down with a touch.
Wait. Up here. No. Go and have a look where he is and line it up with him.
Want him to restart, go back.
Go.
Finally, we're in line.
We know what to do.
Tap in the go, and referee Price has a bit of a crack at the player there for not knowing where to play the ball. 30 metres out from the line. Mangere East, I tell you what, if they score here, it's all on, because they are really growing in confidence the last 10 or so minutes. Natane V, they go left edge, Limoni dances, but with the wrong man to try and step through there. Hamiloaki hanging on. Halalilo got Tiriari on his shoulder. Halalilo will instead take the tackle. They're 2 metres out from the line now, Mangere East. Taimani shuffles play on. Tamua gets backslammed. Too often you'll hear that sentence. Clear the ruck now, and they go short side via Taimani, who dribbles the kick in behind, and Siaki has to take urgent action. Gets there and hits it over the top. So back-to-back sets coming up now for the Mangere East Hawks. We get to the back end of the first half here at Harold Moody Reserve. You're watching round 17 of the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership.
Top back from the line, guys. Time out.
Make no mistake, this Mangere East Hawks team can play football. Yeah, they can shift it around from side to side. They've got some good ball skills.
And they have some of the best young players in the comp. There's no doubt about that. Some of the talent coming through this Mangere East system. Yeah, I guess big thing for them is being able to keep that talent in at the Hawks. And if they are able to do that in no time, you have a very, very competitive team. As it is now, they're going to finish in that group very close to the top 4. Had they had a better first round, they'd be contending for the playoffs right now. Short at the line. 4. V goes left edge. Limoni plays Halalilo into a gap. They get there, they scramble really well, Glenora.
Must be right on that line.
Jump out of dummy half now via Talamoni Finau. We've seen a lot of so far in this half. Play tending to go down the other side of the field. Looping ball out there now, and V dribbles a kick in behind, and I think it's going to be too heavy. It will. So good work from the Glenora Bears to hold on there. Execution a little bit off there. We're just about at half time. And this might actually finish the half here from the Glenora Bears. James Taumata. The tap and the go. Do stay with us at half time. Some highlight packages for you in the break before we get back to the action here in the second half.
Highlights from the cliffhanger last week at the home of the Hawks.
Siren goes in the background and they get the offload away. The ball's loose, and now Mangere East might get one last chance here. Jacob Tamua goes on a destructive mission to try and push his way through a couple and then takes the tackle, and that'll get us to half time. And as the Glenora Bears 22, Mangere East Hawks 10, half time here. Very short break now with some highlights before we join you for the second half. Back end wing this year now. Hoani, Rogers, Brown straight through. Blue carries off the face of the scrum.
What are you going over there for?
And it's been stripped, and it's called 1-on-1. And now Mangere East are going to go very close. So a key turnover there. A 1-on-1 strip. V jumps out of dummy half, looks left.
crashes over. Has he scored? Yes, he has. The Mangere East earlier this year. Sampson goes to the line, plays out the back to Wallace, and then a short
Great
ball.
offload.
Pops the offload. Ctas Taulu. There it is, and a peach of an offload. Junior Warriors and over in France is now Joyce, now directs a little bit of traffic, and Reese Joyce will go right through. Reese Joyce is in. Mount Albert have their third. Take it down, and now Howard Brown, a little bit of footwork. Brown flicks the ball out the back. It's scooped up by Lemoni. Lemoni now dancing his way through. Either Lemoni will score. And it is hot potato stuff. It's brilliant rugby league to watch. I think may have, and they may spread the ball here. They know that they've got them stretched for numbers. Howie Brown brings Taimani into the back line. Taimani kicks them behind, and now it's a foot race. And the foot race is on, and it's won by Mangere East. And it is Lafu Fianganga who crashes over, beats them all to the ball. Lines it up and bumps out of the first one, but Homer Sampson is on hand. He's had a brilliant game so far in the middle of the park. There's Big Sampson. Out to the right, they fake and then switch left, and now Lemoni plays short to Halalilo. Halalilo still powering his way through. Nicholas Halalilo! He's gone all the way! Nicholas Halalilo and Mangere East are going to hit the front. From the line, our way to Sampson. Sampson goes straight and hard. Coma Sampson under the posts, and the Mount Albert Lions hit back. Mount Albert Lions will have the lead again. With about 18 minutes to go here at Walter Massey Park. A seesawing game, back and forth. Good look a couple of minutes ago, like the Mangere East Hawks had really started to get a grip on the contest. As Joyce puts the kick over.
A bit of hush around the field too, isn't there? Tension mounts.
And flags go up. And we're locked at 24 points apiece to Wallace, who thinks about handing back to the inside to Taulu. Instead decides against it now. Cortez Taulu to Reese Joyce, who sets for the drop goal. Reese Joyce hits it, and it's good. Reese Joyce gives Mount Albert a 1-point lead. Interesting call taking the two here, Troy. While it does let you chew up a little bit of time, it also gives Mangere East a chance at another short restart on the next play. So should the clock permit it, we'll probably get another shot at them here at Mangere East. There's Reese Joyce now looking back live. There's the line up the kick. Should be an easy one for Reese Joyce. You'd almost be tempted to deliberately miss this one. Take the drop out. Instead, Joyce puts it over. So he's pulled a Mount Albert knock on in here. Well,
The tension mounts again.
your heart's not racing at this point. Get to a doctor, because this is brilliant rugby league here in the SAS Fox Memorial Premiership. Spin it out now. Lemoni is on the ball. Taimani, the little bit of footwork, holding it up. Taimani! Taimani's gone through. Dakota Taimani! Is that the game winner? Dakota Taimani gets the ball, puts on the footwork, and over he goes. So to put some icing on the cake, and what a sweet cake it will be. The Hawks, one of their best performances of the season. Howard Brown instrumental in this one. Emily Moni as well. Natane V for me in the middle of the park, the number 9. Just brilliant. As Brown puts it over, and there it is. The Burger King Mangere East Hawks win this one 30 points to 27 over the Mount Albert Lions. And what a game. Howard Brown, describe that one.
No words for it, eh? Wow, it's just a good feeling.